My name is Ace Element, and today I will be reviewing spirit monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! By completing this video, I will finally become the one true weeaboo that can recount scant amount of Shinto lore, so I can find myself a suitable and submissive Japanese woman who will satisfy my every fantasy. Ohayo minasan. Boku namae wa Ace Element desu.
クソおいやぶー、ちんちん小さい。
Spirit monsters are a group of cards so bad that if you were to search Yu-Gi-Oh! Spirits in YouTube thinks that you probably spelled sprites wrong. This is because nobody ever uses spirit monsters unless you are clinically insane and diagnosed with crippling masochistic tendencies, both being requirements that I've met since 2007 when I told my friend that Earth Chant into Black Luster Soldier is a really overpowered thing to do. Spirit monsters have seen practically no competitive play, a feat that is only comparable to Gemini monsters, which have historically only been used by teen girls that identify having bipolar disorder as their quirk.
Okay, astrology is not just zodiac signs.
Spirit monsters have been Yu-Gi-Oh! Since 2001 in the OCG, and just received a new spirit monster in Darkwing Blast in 2022. Yet, the total number of spirit monsters is equal to the number of union monsters, which actually sees some form of rogue or competitive play in the form of ABCs. Lore-wise, almost all spirit monsters have a background relating to Japanese mythology. However, there are some that are based on other facets of life, like martial arts and dead people. And similar to how most people get rich, we are going to start with some dead people. These three spirit monsters came from the dual terminal storyline. We have an old man, a dark-skinned woman, and a light-skinned woman, forming the perfect trio for a hentai storyline. These three showcase the recurring features of spirit monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! First, they cannot be special summoned. Second, if they are normal summoned or flip face up, they return to the hand during the end phase. Third, they all have miserable effects that do not justify the restrictions from the previous two effects. Just like those suffering from dementia, spirit monsters do whatever they want due to the lack of cognitive functioning. Once they turn up to a place, they think of something else to do and they leave. The next set of spirit monsters are those focused on martial arts. There are currently 4, which are all level 5 pendulum monsters that have 2400 attack and 1000 defense. We have one representing the martial arts of sumo, one for karate, one for kendo, and the newest one, representing the martial arts of being a flat-chested girl.
弓道ってほら、胸があると弓のつるが当たっちゃうんですよ。
The twist is that they are finally able to be special summoned, but their effects still activate only when they are normal summoned. If you wanted to play a deck consisting of 2400 attack, 1000 defense monsters that activate their effects when normal summoned, you should reconsider your life choices and apply for a job with Bob the Builder since you love playing with bricks.
Look what the postman's brought, Finn. I wonder what's inside.
Wait, why does this have an alternate art? Wait, what the hell is the difference? Oh. With 30 more spirit monsters, I will literally be repeating how disappointing their effects are. So, to speed things up, I will only mention those that have some semblance of utility in today's meta game. You may assume that any card not mentioned has never been created. But to understand the viability of spirit monsters, I must first talk about Aratama and Nikitama. Since there are essentially no spirit monster archetypes, Aratama has stepped up as the violent and negligent parent of the family that takes too much time to get anything useful done. Nikitama is the other parent of the family that she tries, but has no other choice and has to constantly work with Aratama to make the family look functional. Despite having Nikitama, spirit monsters that require tributes to be summoned are often not worth summoning, despite having moderately decent effects.
Not again. All it took was one punch.
On that note, did you know that Amaterasu is now a complete joke of a card due to the April 2020 rules revision? If you were to target it with an effect that would destroy it, it would still flip face up, but it will not stay on the field. And since its location is now in the graveyard, which is different from the designated trigger location, it cannot activate the second effect even though it is a mandatory effect.
Okay, I think I see him. Wait for my mark. Target acquired. I have a positive ID on Emran Zakev. Steady.
Even in a simplified game state, spirit monsters cannot stay on the field to be tributed, especially for those that require 2 tributes. Just like those suffering from dementia, spirit monsters do whatever they want due to the lack of cognitive functioning. Once they turn up to a place, they think of something else to do and they leave. There are 2 spirit monsters that can be special summoned by their own effects, which might make tribute summoning more bearable. Kono Hana Sakuya? Japan. What is with these long ass names? Next, you're gonna tell me that people in Japan have names this long instead of regular names like Wolfenschläger, Steinhausen, Bergerdorf, Alton Warren, Gewesen, Halfschafter, Wissenschaft. Anyways, Sakura over here special summons itself if you control another spirit monster, whereas Yamato no Kami special summons itself by banishing a spirit monster from your graveyard. These 2 allow you to tribute summon Dark Last Spirit or Feng Huang more easily since they only require 1 tribute. For the other spirit monsters that do not require a tribute, we first start with a cat, with a stand. With the same abilities as Civil War, it can bring back monsters from the graveyard, just being restricted to level 1 monsters in this case. Tsukiyomi can flip monsters face down on summon. Sadly, he has already been power crept by multiple cards and no longer enjoys his time in the meta that it had 20 years ago.
How could this happen to me?
Izanami allows you to recover spirit monsters from the graveyard just by discarding 1 card. Herbo is an old man that touches cards inappropriately, causing them to flee when he is around. Problem is, they kind of like it and stay around for a while before leaving. Rasetsu is like Herbo, but this time, they don't stay around before leaving. A huge drawback is that you cannot special summon any monsters if you activate this effect, including spirit monsters. This is the effect equivalent of amputating yourself to stop a sore muscle. And for the main reason for making this video, to continue milking Shino Barons for my channel. Shino Baron and Shino Baroness do see decent casual or rogue play even in 2022. These 2 ritual monsters either bounce monsters back to the hand or spells and traps back to the deck. If their effects resolve successfully, you can special summon a level 4 lower spirit monster from your hand or deck. Since this spirit monster is not normal summoned, it will not return to the hand. So, to make full use of this, you can special summon a spirit monster that has an effect that does not trigger on a normal summon. And that spirit monster is Amano Iwato. This spirit monster will occasionally see rogue or competitive play since it has a continuous floodgate effect that prevents both players from activating monster effects, or except for spirit monsters. Your opponent will usually surrender if this racist monster gets to stay on the field, ushering in the Third Reich. Many spells or traps that directly support spirit monsters often fall flat due to their lackluster effects. Others fail due to being too situational. There are multiple equipped spells meant to be used with spirit monsters, but all of their effects do not justify using them at all. Spiritual Energy Settle Machine lets you keep spirit monsters on the field by discarding 1 card during the end phase. The maintenance cost is difficult to be upcapped by spirit decks, and the card itself is vulnerable to spell and trap removal. Shinobird Power Spot offers a 500 attack buff to all spirit monsters and searches any spirit monster or ritual spell when a wind monster returns to the hand. Sadly, there is no good wind spirit monster to take advantage of this searching capability. Spirit's Invitation can bounce back 1 monster your opponent controls for each spirit monster that returns to your hand. This card is only useful if you can survive past your opponent's next turn, which is near impossible while playing with spirit monsters. Shinobird Salvation has better utility by banishing 1 spirit monster from your graveyard to end the battle phase. Its other effect does require you to survive your opponent's next turn as well.
Police! Police! Help!
Wait,
Police! Help!
beep!
Police! Help! Help!
Legacy Uyata Garasu lets you draw 1 card or 2 cards instead if your opponent controls a spirit monster. The second card will basically never be drawn unless you find a way to give your opponent a spirit monster. To meet that requirement, we can use Herb War or look at other cards that have a niche use in spirit decks. In order to give your opponent a spirit monster, you may consider giving them cyanide pills to kill off their family members. If you prefer a more direct method, you may consider giving them one of your spirit monsters with Mystic Box or Creature Swap. Besides enabling Legacy of Yata Garasu, that spirit monster will return to your hand during the end phase, essentially giving you a +1 in card advantage. You can make spirit monsters stay on the field by temporarily negating their effects, using cards such as Forbidden Chalice. This is realistically only useful to keep Amano Iwato on the field, or any other spirit monster which does not trigger their effects when normal summoned.
Aber es ist so, ja? Wir begrüßen ihn, Adolf Hitler!
One monster you can use to enable multiple normal summons in a turn is Gizmek Yatta, the Gleaming Vanguard. This card does require you to be able to special summon itself, but it is probably the only Yatta Garasu that you'll play in a spirit deck today. The most difficult thing to do is to actually find a cohesive way to play spirit monsters. The most obvious method will be to play the ritual variant that focuses on summoning Shino Baron or Shino Baroness to clear your opponent's board and put Amano Yato onto the field. That playstyle will overlook 91% of all spirit monsters. To include more spirit monsters, a control variant may be played to include Shinobird's Salvation or Spirit's Invitation to grind out a win. There can be only one is a viable floodgate for spirit decks in general, since the most played spirit monsters do not share a type, and they bounce back to the hand to reset your field. Just like those suffering from dementia, spirit monsters do whatever they want due to the lack of cognitive functioning. Once they turn up to a place, they think of something else to do and they leave. Alternatively, you could play an Axis or Link Toolbox deck, since the commonly played spirit monsters are level 4 and you can summon a few monsters in a turn. The Spirit Pendulum monsters could be used in a rank 5 deck or somehow used with other Pendulum decks, as they can be a high or low skill if necessary. An idea I had when writing up this video is to play danger monsters alongside spirit monsters. Several effects require cards to be discarded, and you can use summon danger monsters as tribute fodder. An even crazier idea I have is to consider not playing with spirit monsters in the first place.
Voices! Angry fish!
Spirit monsters are an interesting set of monsters, but definitely hindered by following past card designs. There may be niche users for spirit monsters individually, but it can be improved greatly, especially if Konami would give spirit monsters more stronger effects to balance out their huge downside. At the very least, spirit monsters are seeing more play than Gemini monsters are. As a channel update, I'll be going back to school for my final year of university. Master Duel replays may be appearing once in a while, but I will be moving on from it eventually. Scripted content is something I like to do instead, so I would like you to please leave a comment on what topic you'd like to see me cover next, whether it is to review a group of cards or even a game mechanic. Please feel free to stick around for more content to come in the near future.